very nature of being a human being is we are built to progress. We know that the human brain craves novelty.
At the end of the day, talent will not win the game.
You cannot mix with people that are going nowhere and expect to go somewhere. You're just not going to do it.
I'm David, welcome to Wise Vibes. We all have low moments in our life, but don't worry about it, that's the past. What matters most is what you do next in the future. That's why in this video, I'm gonna share with you 6 ways of how to motivate yourself to work twice as hard as others from 6 different brilliant minds. Let's start off with number 1, Gary Vaynerchuk. What puts you on fire?
Let's wrap this up.
Yeah,
what should we do? What should people do?
People should stop complaining.
Right.
People should figure out who they are.
Good call.
People should not listen to America propaganda of fixing what they suck at. They should be tripling down at what they're good at. They should be competent in certain areas, but you're not gonna become Beyonce or, you know, like your bone structure is a certain way. Like you're not gonna solve everything. Your IQ can get a little bit better, but don't worry about the incremental. Figure out what puts you on fire and you're halfway decent at. If you're lucky enough right now to be listening and you're good at what you like, become tunnel vision, because there's way too many voices telling you what and how. And here's the other thing, and this is the big one, John, because you have a humongous audience. The biggest thing that I've seen dividends from, have the conversation with the person that's holding you back. The reason most people who are listening right now are not doing that thing is they're worried about the opinion of somebody, usually their mother, their father. And the reality is that your spouse may be the person holding you back, and you have to have that conversation. We have to get to a place where you're doing you, because the number one thing that scares me is regret. And you're gonna sit there at 72 and you're gonna say, I wish, I wish, I wish. And whether that's money or spend more time with your family, there's a million ways to do this. Not everybody wants to buy the jets. Not everybody wants to smoke weed on the beach in Bahamas. Like, everybody's got a different thing. Figure out what your thing is and stop making excuses. Who the president is, your mom did this, like I missed it. I had that idea for Uber. Then why didn't you do it?
Number 2 is Have an Insane Work Ethic by Grant Cardone.
LeBron shows up. This dude comes in 15 minutes before practice, and LeBron gives him that look like, hey dude, what's going on here? He's like, what do you mean I'm 15 minutes early? He's like, should have been here an hour ago. And when he says that to this dude, the guy knows LeBron's been there for 2 hours. So all I ask you to do, like, here's a guy, probably the best that's ever walked out on a basketball court, short of Michael Jordan. But both of them had one thing in common. They worked, okay? It wasn't about just their talent. It was about their work ethic. People knew them for their work ethic. So just ask yourself this week, do people know you for your work ethic? Are people like, man, you work hard? Are people actually commenting about you showing up early and staying late? Because if they're not, then you're just blending in with everybody else's work ethic. At the end of the day, talent will not win the game. It is work ethic that will win the game. So when I saw this, I'm like, here's a guy, top of his game, he's got all the money you could possibly, he could never spend all his money. Impossible, he'll be a billionaire, okay? And he's showing up 2 hours early to make sure he plays the game, to make sure he's in physical condition, to make sure that he can stay in the game long past it. He doesn't even need it. He's got all his rings. I gotta tell you, I was so inspired by it because I got a bunch of partners. I got guys that I do business with. I got one of them in particular that I'm having some problems with. He told me, man, if I had your money, dude, I would retire. He said it to me over and over, and I hadn't been listening to it enough to understand. He wants to go lay down, okay? You cannot run, what's that thing called you did? You can't do an Ironman with that attitude. Don't know why you'd want to do an Ironman. But I tell you what, if you could do an Ironman and then take that and add it to your career, to the longevity of your career, you know, because look, it's going to be 5 years from now, 10 years from now, it's going to be 20 years. You're going to look back and say, and the marketplace is going to reward whatever you do every day.
And if you're getting value out of this video so far, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel for more videos like this and daily inspiration and motivation. Number 3 is Outwork Everyone by Kobe Bryant. Rest in peace, Kobe.
The one time was 4 a.m. We went out to practice at 4 a.m. And that was your idea to do it.
But
and then, you know, all these Nike people are like, no, let's not do that. And then you're like, let's do it at 4 a.m. So you got security, you got brand marketing, sports marketing. No, let's not do it. You're like, let's do it. Because that's your sustenance, right?
I mean, to me, it just makes complete sense.
Not to us.
Well, I don't like. Okay, so
See,
all right.
What you usually, I'm sleeping at 4 a.m. You're
Yeah.
working out. So
Well,
talk about that.
Okay, so if your job is to try to be the best basketball player you can be, right? To do that, you have to practice. You have to train, right? You want to train as much as you can, as often as you can. So if you get up at 10 in the morning, train at 11, right? 12, say 12, train at 12, train for 2 hours, 12 to 2. You have to let your body recover. So you eat, recover, whatever. You get back out, you train, start training again at 6. Train from 6 to 8, right? And now you go home, you shower, you eat dinner, you go to bed, you wake up, you do it again, right? Those are 2 sessions. Right? Now imagine you wake up at 3, you train at 4. You go 4 to 6, come home, breakfast, relax, blah, blah, blah. Now you're back at it again, 9 to 11, right? You relax, and now all of a sudden you're back at it again, 2 to 4, and now you're back at it again, 7 to 9. Look how much more training I have done by simply starting at 4, right? And so now you do that, and as the years go on, the separation that you have with your competitors and your peers just grows larger and larger and larger and larger and larger. And by year 5 or 6, it doesn't matter what kind of work they do in the summer, they're never going to catch up because they're 5 years behind. Right? So it makes sense to get up and start your day early because you can get more work in.
Is that genetic? Or is that something you ingrained and trained yourself?
No, it was
Who
just
taught you that?
For me, it was just common sense. Like I can if I start earlier, I can train more hours, and I know the other guys aren't doing it because I know what their training schedule is. Right? So I know if I do this consistently over time, the gap's just going to widen and widen and widen and widen and widen, and they won't be able to get that back. So to me, it was just common sense. I'm like thinking, how can I get an advantage? Oh, start earlier. Yeah, let's do that.
When did you start doing that?
High school. We start. My first class in high school was 7:45. I used to get to the gym around 5 a.m. and I'd play before school, and then school would start.
Who's playing with you at 5 a.m.?
My coach. So my coach would show up, and we'd do all these basketball drills. Right?
So just you and your coach?
Just me and my coach, and sometimes it would just be me and the janitor, and, who's still there today. And then I'd play at lunchtime.
That guy should get a medal.
I hooked him up with a few things. But I play during lunch and then practice after, and then go home, do my schoolwork, and then watch a bunch of game film and games on TV and study film.
Was that the only thing you've been obsessed about, basketball?
Well, until recently, yeah. Basketball had dominated, my entire life for more than 30 years.
Next is Mix with Successful People by Bob Proctor.
Fourth one is you've got to mix with successful people. You cannot mix with people that are going nowhere and expect to go somewhere. You're just not going to do it because they just wander around in circles. Up until I picked up Think and Grow Rich, I had no goals. The people I hung around with didn't have any goals. You see, I was a product of my environment, and I think everybody else is. And the beautiful truth is we can create our own environment. Today, the people I mix with are directed. They know exactly where they're going. They're into the right ideas.
And Mark Laurie presents Do Whatever It Takes.
What is it that you understand that makes you so successful that you think other people are missing?
I don't know it's necessarily other people are missing it. I'm willing to do whatever it takes, like create a situation where it feels like life or death.
Billions or body bags?
Billions or body bags, yeah. No, but in all seriousness, that I think is the distinguishing characteristic, because all 4 of the businesses, they were all turned out to be successes, but if I didn't put it into that extra gear, I think none of them would have made it. Like I really think that you have to be willing to go all the way.
How do you pull that off though? Like the first time I get it, because it really is, I know you left the banking, you didn't exactly have a safety net. And so the first one really is sort of billions or body bags. But after that, I mean, you've had some huge wins.
Yeah.
How do you recapture that?
I always figure out a way to put myself in a position where it can't not work. And so, the first one, it was not only quitting, but I also put every dollar in my bank account into that first company.
Did you have kids at that point?
Yeah.
So what do you tell people?
I just had a kid.
Like the number of people that want to be entrepreneurs that come up to me and they say, look, I've got this litany of things, you know, I'm married now, I have kids, I can't really do this. How did you position yourself financially and emotionally to pull that one off?
I just convinced myself that I would do this for a year or two, give it a real go.
Because you had that much saved up, or?
The idea was to take everything I saved, invest it in the company, take a salary, but I still needed to raise capital to kind of continue on. And so I hoped that I'd be able to do that. And if I was able to, then I'd be able to sustain. Worst case, wasn't able to raise money, had no more money in savings, and had to go back into the workforce. Did I think that I can get back in? Like, was I, past the point where of no return? And I thought, no, I'm 7 years into my career. Worst case, I can go back and get a normal job again. But that was too much of a safety net, and you could always go back. It was investing every penny of savings into the business that was the real catalyst for making sure that it worked. And then in the subsequent business, it was less about the money that was at risk and more friends and family money. So every relative, every friend, everybody I knew pretty much had a stake in the startup. And I just didn't want to disappoint all the people that I love and care about, by...
Become Unreasonable by Robin Sharma.
The very nature of being a human being is we are built to progress. We know that the human brain craves novelty. And we are most alive, we have the most energy, we are most intimate with our best selves when we're progressing towards our mighty mission. So I think we all want. I think what's happened on the planet right now is there's been a great seduction and a great brainwashing. When we are kids, we want to be astronauts. We want to be billionaires. We want to be history makers. We want to do all our dreams. And we stand in awe and wonder. And we're full of curiosity, and we're loving, and we're passionate, and we're strong. We're not afraid to be ourselves. But as we leave the perfection of childhood, the hypnosis and the brainwashing begins. Our well-intentioned parents say, oh, you want to be an astronaut? You want to start a business when you grow up? You want to paint like Jean-Michel Basquiat? Be reasonable. And George Bernard Shaw said it better than I ever could. He said, the reasonable man adapts himself to the world. The unreasonable one persists in adapting the world to himself. Therefore, all progress depends on the unreasonable man. So that's our nature, but our parents give us limitation based on their limited psychology and their emotional patterns that they learned from their parents. Then we go to school and we're taught to live in a box, think in a box, dress like everyone else. Don't sing too loudly, don't dream too big, don't be too passionate. And then our peers do the same thing to us. And then society says, oh, genius is the realm of genetics, not everyday people, which has been dismissed by some very good science. I mean, the 10,000-hour rule that we all know from Florida State University professor Anders Ericsson, it just confirms so much. So I do think we all want. I think what's happened is as we've left who we truly are, we've contracted. And now it's all about staying safe in the world versus going out there and letting our brilliance, our primal genius shine. And a lot of people just have stuffed that pain of disappointment and their doubt really deep inside. And they just are addicted to distraction and escapes because they don't want to deal with their potential that they've denied.
And comment down below, which was your favorite lesson that you got out of this? I'm gonna leave you with this quote right here. Work hard in silence and let success make the noise. I'm not really sure who came up with that quote, but I love it. Thank you so much for watching. Just remember to dream of success and work hard for it.